Welcome back, guys. Busy day of work here, and so I've had an opportunity to be in a 23 Ram 2500 Cummins diesel 68 RFE with a Bighorn package. I've had an opportunity to drive it about 500 some odd miles, all of that being towing. So I thought I would talk about some real world fuel economy numbers. So I did a short the other day in regards to fuel economy, just kind of one trip out. It was about 70 miles ish, 75 mile an hour, just cruising along. I didn't have to get on it or anything like that. Interstate mixed a little bit of rural stuff, and then I got to a site. And if you watch the short, this guy got 20.2 miles to the gallon, which isn't bad, and not bad at all. And I guess like some people say, well, you weren't towing, whatever. Listen, all those numbers are subjective. When you talk about fuel economy numbers, it's all going to go into your driving habits and everything like that. And we can talk about the 20.2 being, I drive fairly chill. I don't speed. I do pass people once in a while. That's why I call my little 70, 80 mile rip. So I guess I do speed in that respect, but get back down to speed. But this being a Bighorn, it's nicely equipped. It does have a power seat, but it doesn't have buckets. So the more swag you put in one of these vehicles, or any vehicle, the more it's going to weigh, and more it's going to take away from your fuel economy, and the more it'll take away from your payload and your towing and everything like that. So I know it's nice to have those creature comforts and stuff. So in those situations, you may have to step up to a 1-ton, so you can keep your towing. But within respect, I did run this VIN on the VIN check link, and I will put that at the bottom of the description. So you can click that and run VINs. It is backup. But what I've found is most of the 22s that are still on lots, and I've checked them a lot, is those vehicles did lose towing ability. We're talking some of those mega cabs went from having 18, 19,000 down to having 14, if you will. So, and it's kind of a bummer, because that mega cab's so awesome to have that, but at the end of the day, having that extra cab, that extra chunk of frame, all that extra stuff, it's going to cut into it. But let's talk about my week in the 23 Ram 2500. So I'm going to pause this, we're going to get it on the tripod, and we'll talk about the rest of the way. So if you watched the earlier video where I did the short test drive that day, the sync system, or the whatever they call the RAM system, I've used to know it, and it came back and it's been working really good. So again, everything still worked in regards to climate control, radio. You just had to toggle with the buttons on the back of the steering wheel. But some people have said that that's been an issue, and for some reason I'm having a brain fart of what that system's called. But nonetheless, somebody will say, well, I know what it is, and I appreciate you throwing that in the comments. For 23, they did upgrade the little cluster, if you will, down here, from what it used to be. Again, still doesn't have a gear selector per se. I mean, I can hit these buttons on the steering wheel and allegedly it'll do whatever, but at the end of the day, as long as the transmission does what it's supposed to do in harmony with the engine, I could care less. And I'm telling you, this Cummins is just awesome. And the way the exhaust brake, and I know I said that over and over again, but I mean, just everyday driving, to have the ability to just put that in auto, and I mean, you hardly touch your brakes. And if you're using cruise control, forget about it. You can go up and down the hills and you'll be pushing the throttle. You'll probably never touch the brakes. So I mean, just excellent. But the 23 mirrors, let me tilt the tripod over here. There you go. The mirrors are actually really nice compared to what the 22s had. And that's worth skipping a deal on a 22, because you cannot transfer those mirrors to a 23. I've checked. Now you might be able to get something similar that doesn't have all the features, but then it may not work with your features and whatnot. If we go down here to the transmission and tip the tripod down a little bit, it's not switching gears. So again, everybody's saying that, you know, you can lock this out and it'll tell you gears, and maybe it will. I really didn't play with it because I really could care less. It is nice that Ford lets you know, but to me it's not a big deal. In addition to that, they did, let me have it zoom out here. They did change the steering wheel up here. I like these buttons, okay, over the old ones. The old ones were long on the tooth, man. That's the same steering wheel buttons I had back in 2010, so I'm glad to see those changes. Again, I actually like, for as simple as these aren't like a real analog gauge. There's actually like a LED light behind that gauge itself, and it moves incrementally to show you temperature. But the extra little lights in here, I just like the depth of the gauges. Turned down that really nice Lariat Ford Super Duty, that 23, because I hated the digital display. I mean, this is where your eyes are constantly having to check, and we all say we have enough screen time. Well, that's all that is a big giant screen, and sometimes it gets washed out in the sun. Sometimes it just doesn't give me any more information than this really does, and this actually is appealing to look at, so I like that. Overall the seat comfort is great in here. Again, I'm 6'2". I will tell you this much: if you get a mega cab, you're not going to get any more front seat leg room. You can't put the seat back all the way. So if you're over 6'2", let me tilt the tripod down with my hand. There you go. You can see I have enough room. In theory, I would like to have more. In my Chevy, I have it all the way back, or basically almost all the way back, but if I put it all the way back in the Chevy, I can't touch the pedals. And you could still sit behind me being 6'2", so it's pretty crazy. Let's get this back up here. And at the end of the day, this doesn't have as much legroom, period, especially in the crew cab. Now, if you're going to get the Mega, you're going to get that bigger cab for your guests. You'll get that full seat back there. And if you're going to be a guy that's hot-shotting and you don't need a long bed, but you need a dually, you can get a Mega Cab short bed dually. I had one of those, so you can keep your payload. But if you're hot shotting, some people won't let you pull RVs. If you're going to hot shot those, they won't let you hot shot with a short bed. But keep in mind that Mega Cab you can actually use as a sleeper. I used to put my little micro refrigerator back there, plug it in, and I would hop back there and sleep when I was doing some hot shotting. So I like that for that. And then there's some extra storage. But again, when I talked about putting the dog in here the other day, you're not putting a full-size dog kennel in the back seat here, unless you're going to put it on the seat. The seat's a little skinny or shallow, I guess, if you will. And and if you do get a Mega Cab, shorter people are going to have issues trying to lift freight or something up that high to get on it. Again, these are just nuances I wanted to bring up if you're looking at a Ram. Didn't have to use four-wheel drive, so didn't have any issue with getting around there. The simplicity of a Bighorn is great. It's a touch above a tradesman, kind of like the Custom. But I mean, they really did give you everything that you really want. Lots of great cubbies, plenty of extra cup holders, and the truck is exceptionally good ride, and that has a lot to do with the 3/4 ton. Uses a 5-link rear coil instead of leaf springs. I talked about the other day, but then I flubbed up saying that the 1-ton might ride better. It probably won't, just being the leaf spring pack setup on the 1-ton. But all in all, the truck is exceptionally quiet. It's got a good rumble from the Cummins when it's working, and the exhaust brake has a really good, like, just that bellowing sound when it's activated. So really good there. One thing that is a point of contention in this truck is the actual tie downs in the bed. They only give you 4 points. You can add some auxiliary ones, but from the factory you get these kind of like long bar shaped tie downs. They're a little shallow for putting a big hook behind them, and then when I cranked down on them this week, they tend to give a little bit. So I think they're not as robust as, say, the Ford box link, nor the Chevy tie downs, which the Chevy gives you 6, 3 on each end or on each corner, and then they give you the ability to add some in the middle. So again, if you're going to be hauling a lot of stuff, that might be something that if you need to have big hooks to hold down, like, I don't know, crates or a motorcycle, that might be an issue. Another thing is Ram doesn't offer like steps in the bumper or tailgate step per se. You can get that aftermarket one you kind of flip down with your foot. I don't think that's a very attractive option, but the functionality's there, and I guess you can mount that all over the place. So you just have to decide if that's something for you. One thing I will make note of is this truck doesn't squat as much as the Ford F-250s. So when you put a lot of tongue weight on there, a lot of weight in the bed, it actually keeps the rake pretty much still towards the front. Not saying that you can't squash it, but it definitely didn't squash as much as the Ford, but did squash more than the Chevy. I will also tell you this much, so the Ford's bed is 6'9" on the short bed, and then the Chevy is 6'10" on the short bed, and the Ram is only 6'5", so the Ram is a little bit short. So we ran into an instance where we needed to put two crates or whatever you want to call them. They're about 4x4, and it just, the Ford, you could actually have most of that last crate up on the bed and not sticking over the tailgate. And with the Ram, it was pretty much at the end of the tailgate, almost over a little bit more than we would want. So we just moved it all back into the rentals we have for the Fords. Now on the Chevy side, their long bed is actually like 8'2", so it's actually kind of nice. You can actually put full sheets of drywall or whatever, they're 8 foot long in there to shut the tailgate. But nonetheless, other than that, like I said, the comfort's good, super quiet in here. It's good about keeping noise out. I want to make note that the HVAC system is extremely quiet. Even on full blast, it's quieter than the other two big brands. The stock stereo that I mentioned the other day, this is by far the best bass stereo that you're going to get. Even in the Tradesman with the smaller screen over here, it has excellent sound. I think Chrysler's always done well with that, or whatever they're calling themselves now. They've always done really, really well. And right now, like I said, you can, if you want to give up the nice mirrors that came out in 23 and have the old buttons on the steering wheel and the old display down here, they, like I said, they tweaked it just a little bit, but it's very similar to the 22. You can actually get some really screaming deals, whether or not you're looking at Hemis or Cummins. And the reason why they have a lot of 22 Cummins leftovers is because they had a couple stop sales on that Cummins. For the dipstick, they had one, and then they had one for the grid heater, because if you do or don't know, the Cummins diesel does not use glow plugs like the other two. It uses a grid heater like a semi, so it's basically a never wear out part. However, there was a safety recall or stop sale because of the potential of a fire. Same thing with the dipstick leaking on the 68 RFE, could cause issues with that. So, but being that this had a 373 4 grins, I wanted to reset it today, because all I did today was pull, and all I did today was drive in the city. And I logged over 194.4 hours. I did not shut the truck off at all today. I pretty much got to a site, let it run, because I'm not going to shut off a diesel. I want to trap that heat in the turbo. And so at 194.4 miles, I averaged 14.2 miles a gallon and ran the clock or the truck for 9 hours, 44 minutes, and 35 seconds. All right, so again, just to kind of round this guy out, this truck did exceptionally well. I mean, at 14.2 miles a gallon, it's going to be a little bit better than a gasser for sure. The exhaust brake is just unbeatable in this one. I mean, I haven't driven the new Duramax 2nd gen, but there's no comparison across the board. I don't care what anybody says, there's just not. As a trucker, an exhaust brake is imperative for hauling heavy loads, and this thing just does so well. Even in just normal driving, you click it in auto, and it just does really well. Now, somebody did say last night, well, wait till it regens, because I was talking about that short that I made on the 20.2 miles a gallon. You know what? This truck hasn't regen once in the week that I've done it. And I have been towing with it. So the heaviest thing I towed today, we did 9 trips, 9 different trailers. Heaviest was 11,000. Next was 10. All the rest were 5-ish. And I did pick up one that was about 7,000. So I mean, working, but not really working for any truck. I mean, most of that stuff's half-ton kind of range anyway, but no regens. And this thing, I just let it run at some of those places I got. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it just did really, really well. And it's been a joy to drive. Hopefully we'll have it for a little bit longer. The mirrors were a huge upgrade. And I would actually forego a huge discount on a 22 to get a 23 with these mirrors, because I mean, they really are not the biggest in the market, but they're really good. And as a, like I said, as a truck driver, I like being able to see everything. Not really any blind spots in this truck. With the Mega Cab, there's a bigger C-pillar you'll be dealing with, and I had one of those, but it's not a big deal. You get used to it. But these mirrors when you're towing is just, it's fantastic. And so they did really well on this. And you know, I don't know where I see myself for the channel after we get rid of the 7.3 Godzilla. And I know people said, well, you know, you did a video earlier about, you know, I didn't want to get a Hemi. I do wish the crew cab was bigger without having to go to the Mega. Because like I said, I looked at a Mega the other day, and it's literally 5,000 pounds difference in towing. Cummins, Bighorn, same exact truck, because just the extra weight has less payload also. I mean, we're talking by 800 pounds. I mean, that's big when you're talking fifth wheel stuff or gooseneck stuff. So, you know, at the end of the day, though, this truck is really good and it's very comfortable. So if you have, you know, shorter people in the family, kids are young or your kids are grown, this is a great truck for people to get in and want to have confidence in towing. You know, and I've never had one of these 5-link rear coils for myself, but having towed with it, and I've towed, like I said, some heavy stuff with it this week, like 12,000 pounds, and it's rated at 19. If I didn't forget, I think it's 2219 payload, because somebody's going to ask, and like 19.5 on the towing. So really wasn't at its limit, but at no time did it feel like it was squirrely or out of control. Trailer setup was easy in here. Headlights are awesome. Approach lights on these mirrors are fantastic. I mean, they light up the whole truck. It's one thing on my Chevy Custom, it has approach lights, but it's not as bright, even though they're LED, as these other ones. It's not bad. It's just that more light's better. I mean, if it's a light at night, you want it to be brighter, right? But at the end of the day, good truck. Let's see if somebody gave us a Easter egg here on this. So yeah, let's flip this around real quick. So no doubt these things idle. So somebody left trip B, at least for us to look at 489.7 miles. You can see that they had 2654 on the hours, whether it's hours idling, running, whatnot. That's combined 13.3 miles a gallon. So there's kind of some your real world fuel economy. And like I said, just an honest review as to what I actually think about this truck. And so I know people said, well, you were hyping up the Godzilla when you got it. Yeah, and I'll still hype up the Godzilla. And then somebody banged on me and said, well, after all this crap, you would still buy a Godzilla? Well, yeah, because there's only real 3 big trucks in the United States that you can buy in the light duty pickup market, and light duty is these diesels. These are not medium duty. Medium duty would be like a 550, 650, the new Chevy Top Kick looking thing. Those are medium duty, and then the heavy duty market is semi-tractor. So, you know, for the light duty truck market, yeah, we only get 3. And so if you want to be closed-minded and say, well, I'm only buying a Chevy, okay, well, you could get a jalopy of a Chevy too, or a GMC, or a Ford, or a Dodge. I've been there. But I do give manufacturers the opportunity to correct their problem. So my truck had an issue. I took it to Ford. 3 dealers said I can't fix it. So now I have to make a corporate decision. I like the truck. And I like the Godzilla. Do I think the Chevy's better in in a lot of aspects? Yes, especially in trailer towing. So that's important to me because I tow a lot. But does that mean all Godzillas are crap? Absolutely not. Come on now. Just like, you know, it's literally in the big truck market. You got like Peterbilt, Kentworth, Volvo, Mack, a handful of, and these guys have all kinds of problems. And so you just have to take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, I would buy another Ford again. This is one truck, one issue. We have 24 Fords just at my own place where I work at, and for the most part really haven't had any issues with those trucks. One of the older Super Duties, there's a wiring issue after 200,000 miles. A couple of the F-150s had issues at like 150,000 miles. That's to be expected. But you know, overall Ford has treated me well throughout the years. So has Chevy, and so has Ram. But have I had issues with all those trucks? Absolutely. I can't be closed-minded and say I'm not going to buy another one. Come on. They could correct their issues, and I think Ford's working on the Godzilla, and I think the Godzilla is a great truck for you know, what people are doing in the gas market. Again, I'm not a fan of the Hemi, but that doesn't mean there's a lot of dudes out there that are enjoying the Hemi in their heavy duty trucks. I have an uncle that has it. I know other people that have it. My brother-in-law and my sister have like a first generation 5.7 Hemi, and the thing's just been going forever. So listen, I'm trying to give you real world data. I'm not going to give you subjective data. Okay, I'm going to give you my opinion, and I'm going to hopefully give you information to support my opinion. And then you still go out and use that information to make your decision. I'm not just driving around the block in these things. I'm working in these all day. And if they can't stand up, I'm gonna tell you that they can't. The Godzilla did good. It has an engine knock. It's gonna go away because I can't tow with it. That's the whole point of my channel, is to get something so I can show you guys real world data. And a lot of people say that doesn't make sense. You're actually buying these vehicles yourself. Yes, it's something I enjoy to do. I love getting information for people. I've always loved vehicles. I drive truck. I enjoy it. And that's the one thing, if I'm going to work myself to my bone, 60, 70 hours a week at my normal job, I'm going to produce videos for whoever was willing to watch, and hopefully give them another point of, view, or open a discussion, so other people can kind of chime in and say this and this. But, at the end of the day, guys, is the Ram 2500 a good truck? I like it. With the Cummins diesel and stuff, it could fit many people's needs. The 68 RFE, I have no problems with that transmission at all. So, at the end of the day, I have no issues with that. And I don't think most people need the ASIN, but you can get the ASIN if that's how you see fit. But this has been a really nice, pleasurable truck to drive. I mean, just super comfortable. And a lot of just good features, and all the manufacturers have their own great features. But as for the Rams, does it get my thumbs up? Yeah, yep, the diesel form of the 23 Ram, they've made some changes where they needed to, and the rest of the recipe was good, so they didn't need to change the recipe. They added some good mirrors finally. Not that the other ones were bad, but these are way better. They tweaked a few other things, and it's really great. So guys, I hope you do enjoy what we're putting out when we can. Look down there in the corner, smash that subscribe button for me so you can enjoy more of my content. Down below, you're going to find a like button. Give me a thumbs up, please. And if you have something you want to add, let's try and be constructive out there. Yeah, feel free to add whatever you like, and feel free to ask questions, guys. I try and get back to everybody as much as I can. And somebody also did want to know the other day, they said, well, thanks for not deleting old videos when things change. Well, no, my channel is progressive, meaning information can change. I still support the Godzilla, and I had got problems with my Godzilla, and it's going to go away, but that does not mean I'm going to delete something where I used to talk about the issues or how much I enjoyed it. All that's staying up, so you guys can prove it. You guys can kind of follow it like a storyline all the way from the beginning to the end of how this channel is going to work. This channel is different than anybody else's out there, because I'm not a producer. I'm just a hardworking Joe like 90% of everybody else out there, and I'm just trying to produce good stuff so you can help make a good decision and stuff like that. It's all raw. It's all live. I don't edit. I don't pay for copyright. I know you guys don't want to hear music and crap. Let's just get to the meat and potatoes of it, and let's just rock and roll. So, I'm doing something that I don't think a lot of people are doing, because I don't care about all the pizzazz of stuff, and I don't care about lift kits. That's not for me. I don't care about any of that stuff. So we're just going to keep putting these trucks to work, whether it's gas or diesel, and we're going to have a hell of a time doing it. And I appreciate you guys being here as we go along. See you on the next one.